"Look," said Pat, "there's Miss Hubbard in her new hat. She's come to the market between bus trips. Give her a wave." "Hello, hello, Miss Hubbard," Pat waved, and the auctioneer said, "Thank you, sir, 150, and 200 over there." But Pat was so busy admiring Miss Hubbard's hat that he didn't seem to notice what the auctioneer was saying.
"Dad," said Julian, "I think—"
But the auctioneer was off again, and Pat couldn't hear Julian. Then Pat spotted Mr. and Mrs. Pottage and the twins. "Hello," he called, waving and smiling across at them. 65, said the auctioneer, and 70 to the lady over there.
"Dad," said Julian.
But Pat had seen Alf Thompson. "He must have come to buy some lambs," said Pat. "Alf! Alf, hello there!" and he waved to Alf. 50, said the auctioneer, and a bargain at the price. Any more bids? Going, gone at £50 to the gentleman with the blue scarf.
"That's you, Dad," said Julian.
"What?" said Pat.
"You've bought a goat. You're the man in the blue scarf."
"A goat?" said Pat. I haven't bought anything."
"You were waving at Alf, and that auctioneer man thought you were waving to say you wanted to buy that goat."
"A goat?" said Pat. "Oh dear. How much was it?"
£50, said Julian. "That's what he said."
"Oh dear," said Pat. "What a muddle. Whatever shall we do?"
"It's a very nice goat," said Julian.
"It might well be a very nice goat. But what are we going to do with a goat?" said Pat.
"We could milk it," said Julian. "I love goat's milk, and so does Mum."
"Does she?" said Pat.
"Yes," said Julian. "And it would keep the grass short in the garden. It'd save you having to cut it."
It'll keep the flowers short as well," said Pat. By now the auctioneer's helpers had come to take Pat's address, and one of them was saying, "Could you collect by 6 p.m, sir? Pen number 23. Yes," said Pat. "And take this slip to the office with your payment." "Thank you," said Pat. So this is how Pat and Julian came to be walking through the middle of Pencaster on a Saturday afternoon with a very lively goat, using a length of binder twine as a lead. A frisky goat in an empty field is bad enough. In the middle of Pencaster, it was something that Pat would never ever forget. He never knew how they managed to get to the tea shop where they were meeting Sarah. The goat was surprisingly strong. It pulled Pat this way and that way, any way except the way he wanted to go. It tried to butt people. It went nosing under market stalls to nibble at dropped vegetables and fruit. It tried to get into a supermarket. It wrapped its lead round people's legs. It wanted to fight dogs and cats. It tried to climb the steps of a fire escape and dragged Pat halfway up. It knocked over boxes of apples. What a time Pat had getting that goat through the busy Pencaster streets. And when Sarah saw it, she nearly had a fit.
"What in the world are you doing with a goat?" she said. "We've bought it," said Julian. "Bought it?"
"Well, it was an accident, actually," said Pat.
"An accident? How can you—" "He nodded," said Julian. "Nodded? And waved?" "No, he did. And the man thought—" "Which man?" said Sarah. "The auctioneer man." "Oh, yes. He thought Dad wanted to buy the goat. He said it was a bargain, and it is. Some of them were much more—" "Oh," said Sarah. "Were they? And how much was this one? And what in the world are we going to do with a goat? And where are we going to keep it?" "We could milk it," said Julian. "Goat's milk, delicious." "I love goat's milk," said Sarah.
"And we could keep it in the garden," said Pat.
"It'll eat the flowers. But we could fence a bit of grass off for it, or even put it in Alf's field. I'm sure he wouldn't mind, especially if we gave them some of the milk." You tether them to a post.
Brilliant, said Pat.
How much did you say it was? Said Sarah.
We didn't, said Pat. It was £50.
50?
Yep.
Oh. We could make cheese and sell it to the visitors in summer, said Julian. That's a good idea, said Sarah. But it'll take a long time to earn £50. Oh, well, it's done now, so we'll have to make the best of it.
Yes, I suppose we will, said Pat.
How are we going to get it home? Said Sarah.
I was wondering about that, said Pat.
We could put it on the bus, in the luggage space under the stairs. A goat on a bus? I don't think Miss Hubbard would be too pleased about that. What if it eats one of those lovely seat covers? Goats eat all kinds of things, you know.
But when the bus came, it was quite full, and the luggage space under the stairs was already filled with Miss Hubbard's 4 baskets, which were now filled with clucking hens. They could see at once that it wouldn't do to squeeze a goat in next to 4 baskets of hens. Not this goat, anyway. You get on the bus, said Pat, and I'll walk the goat home.
Do you know how far it is? Said Sarah. I think you'll end up with the goat carrying you.
There seemed to be no other way of getting that goat home. So Pat set out along the road with the goat trotting alongside him. Sarah and Julian waved to him as they went by in the bus. Poor Pat! It was not easy walking with that goat. It was almost as bad in the country as it was in the town. Whenever there was a side road, the goat wanted to go up it. Whenever there were sheep or cows in the fields, the goat wanted to be over the wall to go and play with them. Pat got along very slowly to Greendale. What a lucky thing it was that Alf Thompson came along in his Land Rover. Lucky, too, that Alf had sold one of his pigs at the market. This meant that the back of the Land Rover was empty. Alf stopped to pick Pat up as soon as he saw him. They had a struggle to get that goat in, but they did it in the end, and were soon bowling along the road home. My goodness, said Pat, I was glad to see you. I was getting really tired of walking with that creature. There was so much to and fro and here and there with it, that it was twice as far. Pat got the goat home in the end, and Ted brought some fencing wire round, and helped him to make it a paddock at the end of the garden. Soon all Greendale knew the story of Pat's goat. Peter Fogg turned up that night with an old hen hut on the trailer. "We're not using this," he said, "and it'll make a snug home for your goat. It'll need somewhere warm to sleep at night." When summer came round again, Sarah put a notice on the gate, "Goat's milk for sale." Pat made another trip to the market. This time Alf went with him, with the Land Rover, and Pat nodded at the auctioneer on purpose. They came back with a billy goat, and if you go there next summer and buy some milk, you might see some baby goats running and playing in Pat's garden, or in the field next door.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van.